All the surviving literary sources from early medieval Ireland point to one place, Valentia Island, on the southwesternmost tip of Ireland. It is said that here dwelt the famed druid Mug Ruth, also Mug Ruth, whose name translates to slave of the wheel. Valentia Island is known in Irish as nDairbre, the oak wood. This made Mug Ruth a hero of Munster, a Gaelic Irish kingdom in the south of modern-day Ireland, in whose territory Valentia Island was found. The island itself is steeped in ancient history and shows traces of early habitation, especially with the remnants of dolmens and passage tombs. It is possible that for the inhabitants of ancient Munster, the island was seen as a remote location and a likely place for odd myths and curious heroes. Mug Ruth is described as an all-powerful druid, Old Irish druid, sorcerer, wizard, who is ascribed all sorts of supernatural powers. Some sources call him blind, while others say he was one-eyed. In certain tales he loses one of his eyes in the snowy Alps, while the other he lost while trying to stop the course of the sun for 2 days straight. It was said that he could grow to an enormous size, and possess the power to turn men into stone with his breath. Curiously, some of the descriptions sound as if they came straight from a science fiction movie. Mug Ruth supposedly flew in a special machine called the Rothrumpf, or the Ord Wheel. In some depictions, he rides in an ox-driven chariot, which could be the same vehicle as the Ord Wheel. The oxen are described as fast and furious, having the speed of the wind of March, and the agility of birds. Either way, the vehicle in which he flies is fast, and within it, night is bright as day. The druid carried with him a star-speckled black shield with a silver rim, and one of his powerful weapons was a stone that turned into a poisonous eel when it was thrown in water. The powerful breath of this wizard was enough to cause violent storms that could smite his enemies. As for his appearance, Mug Ruth is almost always described in the same way. He wore a feathered bird mask and a hornless bull hide, which gives him a sort of shamanistic appearance. He was also incredibly old, and it is stated that he lived throughout the reigns of 19 ancient Irish kings. His curious appearance is laden with pagan symbolism, especially considering the fact that the myths were penned down in a Christian era. One writing gives the following description. The bull hide from a hornless brown bull belonging to Mug Ruth was now brought to him along with his speckled bird mask with its billowing wings and the rest of his druidic gear. He proceeded to fly up into the sky, along with the fire, and he continued to beat the fire towards the north as he chanted a rhetoric. I fashioned druids' arrows. Since the many different stories and legends concerning this wizard were written down in various stages of Irish medieval history, there is much disagreement about when Mug Ruth lived. Some state that he lived during the reign of the famed High King Cormac Mac Arch, who supposedly ruled sometime between the 2nd and 4th centuries AD. Elsewhere, such as in the iconic book Lebert Gabala Iren, Mug Ruth is said to have lived in the reign of the ancient King Conamel, who supposedly existed some 2,000 years before Cormac Mac Arch. It is possible that these conflicting accounts, and the confusion this caused, led to the legend that the druid was extremely long-lived and saw the reigns of 19 kings. Many modern scholars come to the conclusion that Mug Ruth was most likely a personification of an ancient pagan storm or sun god. Certain medieval manuscripts place him in Jerusalem at the early beginnings of Christianity. There, it was said, he became a student of Simon Magus, a sorcerer and religious figure that taught Mug Ruth all his supernatural powers. These legends tell that together with his daughter, Tlactga, an equally powerful druidess, he traveled east to Simon, who taught him and helped him construct his powerful flying machine, the Ord Wheel. Here, the vessel is described in more detail, having sides of rowan wood, windows of glass, and poles of electrum. The ship deafens anyone who hears it, blinds anyone who sees it, and kills anyone it strikes. One cannot help but connect such a description to the theories of ancient astronauts and extraterrestrial flying machines that could have been described in the very ancient periods of human history. Is there more to the story of Mug Ruth than first meets the eye? Early myths say that Mug Ruth received the territory of Fermaig Fenne, Fermoy, in the far south of Ireland, for his own descendants. The Fermoy tribe of medieval Ireland did indeed claim their descent from this druid, but were still ruled over by the more powerful O'Keefes. Similar tales say that Mug Ruth, upon his return from the siege of Druim Damjair, settled in the Fermoy area, becoming the ancestor of Fermaig Fenne, or Fermoy. An important Iron Age hill fort lies in the hills some 2.4 kilometers, 1.5 miles, south of Fermoy, known as Carntirna, Tigernach's Cairn, which could be related to these claims. The exploits of Mug Ruth are featured most prominently in the Irish saga of Ferghai's Drummond Ver, or the Siege of Knocklong. Here, he is one of the principal characters alongside High King Cormac Mac Arch. Curiously, it is here that King Cormac is presented as a somewhat evil character, which is a stark contrast from his usual portrayal as a just, kind, and successful king. In this tale, Mug Ruth successfully utilizes his supernatural powers to halt an invasion from Cormac, driving him back in defeat. At his side, Cormac had his chief druids, Seacht, Power, Crotha, Creator, Shthmor, Great Battle, Seath, Smiter, and Shthrua, Noble Battle. It was these 5 druids, alongside Cormac and all of his forces, who faced Mug Ruth. Throughout this saga, many fabulous and supernatural events transpire. During the ensuing battle, Mug Ruth asks for his powerful poison stone, which he describes as my hand stone, my 100 fighter, my destruction of my enemies. This indicates that this stone was some sort of powerful weapon. When the druid began reciting a chant, the stone transformed from a fiery hard stone into a red water snake that coiled around its victims, a sea eel, a vulture among vultures that separated body from soul, an adder of 9 coils around the body. Later, Mug Ruth sends forth his powerful breath that turns the stones and sands of the earth into flaming balls of fire that are hurled against the enemy army. In another event, Mug Ruth has to face the 3 female druids from the enemy army. These druidesses transform themselves into brown sheep with iron beaks. The druid then utilizes his magical kindling wood, tinder, and flint, in order to fashion powerful supernatural dogs that pursue these sheep. Curiously, the same elements appear in the story of Mongan Mac Fiach Nai, another mythical medieval Irish hero. Following these events, Mug Ruth adorns his animalistic clothes, garments of power, and exhales air into the heavens. He then seemingly flies and transforms into a black cloud that rains blood on the enemy's camp. Throughout medieval Irish history, Mug Ruth was mentioned in many places at different eras. This indicates that he was likely a very popular figure in Irish history and folk tales. The earliest references date to the mid-7th century, and occur in the 9th century Old Irish poems, the above-mentioned saga, and also in the Book of Leinster from the second half of the 12th century. Stories of the archdruid Mug Ruth were still told in Ireland in the 17th century. The stories tell that this druid had 3 children. In the sagas are mentioned his 2 sons, Furcorb and Buan, and he also had a famous daughter, the druidess Llachia. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe.